from the U.S. State Department's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. We provide, we have centers in 56 places. Here in Mexico, we are 26 centers. And how can you find your local center? What we recommend is to go to educationusa.org and in any search engine, and you can find our the nearest center that is close to you. And also, Education USA targets students, higher education institutions, governments, and NGOs. We provide unbiased, accurate, and comprehensive information about the full range of accredited US higher education institutions. And one of our other services is provide these types of talks. This is going to be our first roundtable that we have. So I'm very happy to be able to share with everybody that's here today. So let's continue. So let me present some of the people that are going to be here today with us. So here we have Dr. Rebecca Allen. She received her PhD in 1994 from Washington University in St. Louis. She is a licensed and board certified clinical psychologist and leads research at the intersection of behavioral health and adult development. Her research and clinical interests are interventions to reduce the stress of individuals, family, and professional caregivers. Professional caregivers within the context of advanced chronic or terminal illness, the cultural dynamics of healthcare and financial decisions making, and 3, clinical training, including ethics, LGBTQ+ issues, and strategies for empowering individuals in the community-based participatory research. Let's continue with the next one. We also have here Adam Butler, a PhD. He's a professor and head of the Department of Psychology at the University of Northern Iowa. He's an organizational psychologist specializing in occupational health psychology. Welcome, Adam, and welcome, Rebecca. We also have our other guest, Karen Daniela Reyes Navarro. She is not a rep. She's a student that finished her career as a psychologist. She has her bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Texas at El Paso. She obtained a master's degree in brief therapy at Instituto de Estudios Superiores y Formación Humana at Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua, Mexico. She has been working as a psychologist for 5 years at the Mexican government institution, providing therapy to children, teenagers, adults, and families, as well as giving and sharing workshops, conferences, and informative talks to different schools around the city. Currently, she's working in a private practice as a psychotherapist. So welcome, Carrie. We also have from the University of Delta State, we have Andres Garcia Penagos. He is an assistant professor of psychology at the Division of Counselors Education and Psychology at Delta State University. He obtained his BS in psychology at the National University of Columbia, a master's or MSc in psychology behavior analysis at West Virginia University, and his PhD in experimental psychology at the University of Tennessee at Delta State University. He teaches a variety of undergraduate courses in psychology, advises students, and conducts research in a variety of topics related to choice behavior. He is currently the president of Delta State's International Faculty and Staff Association. And to finish off, and I'm sorry, welcome, Andres. And to finish our guests that are going to be here with us today, we have Dr. Carrie Bernini Dowling. She earned her PhD in clinical psychology at Stony Brook University. She currently is an instructional associate professor and the director of undergraduate studies in psychology department at the University of Mississippi, where she teaches undergraduate classes such as Introduction to Psychology, Learning Abnormal Psychology, and the Psychology of Parenting. She also conducts research on teaching and learning in the undergraduate context. So welcome also Dr. Carrie and all of my guests today. So thank you very much for being here. So let's get started with what everybody is here. But before we start, what I would like just to mention, and this is something that I think it's very important, the differences between a major and a minor. And this is something that the guests that we have today are going to be talking about. And so it's clear for everybody what is the difference between a major and a minor. A major, here, the problem is, I'm going to use Mexico as an example. When you study psychology, you are going to only study psychology. You have other subjects, but basically when you finish your bachelor's degree here in Mexico, you're a psychologist. But in the United States, you study to be a psychologist, that would be your major, and your minor are any other courses that you take that are like a little bit more specialized. But the main thing that you're going to be studying is psychology, but then your minor could be arts, can be history, can be math. So technically in the United States, when you study, you're getting 2 careers for the price of 1. So I think that's a very good benefit. So just to clear that up for you guys, just in case you're not sure. But anyways, I'm sure that our guest today can give you a little bit more information. So let's begin, please, with our first question. So our first question is, and this one we're going to start with Dr. Rebecca. What are the branches of psychology that your institution offers?
Thank you. I took a moment for me to unmute. At the University of Alabama, undergraduate education, we offer a variety of possible majors. Our particular program emphasizes clinical, health-related professions, and then experimental psychology. Within the clinical realm, we are looking at issues of health psychology, child psychology, aging, that's that geropsychology. I'm the intersection of health and aging or adult development. And then also psychology and law, which might be of interest to a variety of people. In the experimental program, we focus on cognitive psychology, developmental psychology, and social psychology. Moreover, of interest to many these days, we have developed a neuroscience major. It's a minor at the undergraduate level now, but it is moving into a major in and of itself for brain behavior relationships.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rebecca. Sorry. My mouse is very sensitive. Okay, let's continue with Dr. Adam. Can you tell us what are the branches of psychology that your institution offers?
Thank you, Luis, and welcome everybody. And thank you for joining us. So at the University of Northern Iowa, we have a program in general psychology for our undergraduate students. So we offer coursework in all of the major areas of psychological science. And to get our major, you need to take courses across all of those areas. We have an opportunity for students to specialize in a couple of different areas. One of those is mental health. We have an interdisciplinary minor in mental health. And interdisciplinary means you would take courses across different departments. So it includes psychology and family studies and social work and criminology to earn a minor in mental health. And so that is designed to prepare students for future studies or careers in mental health helping professions. We also have a specialization in industrial and organizational psychology. Industrial organizational psychologists use psychology to improve the performance, health, and happiness of people at work. And we have some undergraduate track in that area as well.
Thank you, Dr. Adam. Now let's continue with Dr. Carrie. What does your university offer? What branches of psychology does your institution offer?
So similar to Dr. Butler at the University of Northern Iowa, or at the University of Mississippi, at the undergraduate level, we have a general education in psychology. And similarly, our students are required to take a broad array of classes to get exposed to multiple areas of psychology so that they can determine what area they might want to pursue later on. And then as they get further along in the major, they can take more and more specialized classes. And as Mr. Fernandez was talking about earlier, we also have multiple minors that can be combined with the major in psychology to get more specialized. So for instance, we have a neuroscience minor, so you can take psychology classes and then additional like 6 classes that are focused just on neuroscience, or a disasters and mental health. And there's many potential minors that can be combined. And then at the graduate school level, we have doctorate programs in both clinical psychology and experimental psychology. And the major branches within experimental at our department are health, social, developmental, cognitive, and biological or neuroscience.
Thank you very much, Dr. Carrie, for that answer. What about Dr. Andres? What are the branches of psychology that your institution offers?
Good afternoon, everyone. Just like the other programs, we also have a generalist program where our students are also prepared in a variety of fields and take classes of many different of these basic areas. In addition to this, we also have a minor in sports psychology that is kind of unique to our program. We also have a lot of relation here with the education college. So we also have a big emphasis on educational psychology. And in addition, we offered a certificate in the psychology of industry, organizational psychology, and human factors engineering.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Let's continue with the next question. But first, before we continue, I would like to ask Karen how she decided what she wanted to study.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, thank you to everyone that is joining us. And I think I had this idea to being a doctor. Then I realized that I wasn't good at it. So my main idea was to help people. So that's why I decided to study psychology. And also because, as you may know, Ciudad Juarez was one of the most dangerous cities in some time. So I had the idea like to help the city in some way. So that helps me to decide to study psychology, like to be able to help people in some way, like not being a doctor, but a psychologist.
Excellent. Very, very good. And a very good reason to select your profession. Okay, let's continue with the next question. The next question is, what job opportunities do psychology students have after graduation? And this time we're going to start with Adam, please, with Dr. Adam.
Thank you. So students who graduate with their bachelor's degree or undergraduate degree in psychology are prepared for any variety of different jobs. We keep track of the jobs that our students have after they graduate. And it turns out that they work in a very wide variety of different positions. Most of them end up working in some sort of business capacity. So in our state, for example, we have a large insurance industry. And so a lot of our students go and work in that field. I do think psychology is a great major to prepare you for any sort of general type of job like that, because most people at work with other people. So, and we also, I think psychology prepares you well for critical thinking, because you learn a lot of stuff in psychology that might not or might run counter to what you thought people usually, how people usually acted or behaved, or what influenced them. So I think psychology is a good major for that. And I'll let some of the other people talk about, if you want to work as a professional psychologist, what that means and what you have to do.
Thank you very much, Adam, for that info. What about Dr. Carrie? What opportunities do psychology students have after graduation?
Yeah, so Dr. Butler did a great job starting off with, I completely second what he's saying, that psychology as a major is a wonderful stepping stone to so many different career paths because of all of the different skills that it teaches you and all of the different areas of knowledge that you're exposed to and learn. So there are kind of countless number of career paths that students can pursue following getting a bachelor's in psychology. Many of our students go into positions in healthcare, education, business or finance, human resources, or the government, military, first responders. They might work at community and nonprofit organizations, or they might be in a research lab assisting people to conduct research related to psychology. I am also a clinical psychologist, and so it is different the way that that happens within the United States and other countries. So within the United States, the bachelor's degree is a kind of general degree that then prepares you to get additional schooling to become licensed or be able to practice independently. So there are some master's degree programs, which are typically 2 to 3 years. And then following that, there are many different potential career paths related to that. And then there are doctorate programs, which tend to be more in the 5 to 7 years total, in addition to the undergraduate degree. So I'll let other people fill in some of the other areas.
Thank you very much. What about Dr. Andres? What job opportunities do psychology students have after graduation?
Oh, sorry, I had some problems unmuting myself. Well, it's pretty much the same as my colleagues here have mentioned. Just to complement what Dr. Bernini was just saying, in most of our countries, and I speak as a Colombian, the undergrad is a goal in itself. You want to achieve your undergrad, and that is good. In the United States, I would say it's more like a door that would take you to other places. And I think that, as my colleagues have well pointed out, our education prepares people to do many different things, from the critical skills, critical thinking skills, to the data analysis skills. We have some students who have started careers doing statistical analysis and the like. And also, in particular, in our university, we have a lot of students who jump right away to grad school to complete master's degrees in many different areas in education. In educational psychology, in school psychology, or as teachers. That is one of the things that we see more often among our students. Human resources is another field where many of our students, many of our graduates, quite often go either as minor positions or to develop a career in that field.
Thank you very much, Dr. Andres. And Dr. Rebecca, would you like to add something else to that, to those answers?
I completely agree with my colleagues, and particularly appreciated Dr. Andres, the way that you talked about in the United States, the undergraduate degree being a gateway or doorway into further training. Typically, students who graduate from our program may go on to further graduate training in law or medicine or psychology, either those master's programs or the PsyD or PhD. In order to call yourself a psychologist in the United States, you need either the PsyD or PhD. And then a number of students do go into research careers with their bachelor's, but I completely agree with what my colleagues have already said.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rebecca. Yeah, and I think that just to add my little bit to all the information that you already said was that I think that psychology is a very good starting point, because from there you can go, I mean, your doors are open to many other things. No? And I think Dr. Adams said something very important also. It's because you relate to people, you're working with people, you need to know how to work with them. You need to know, and especially nowadays, it's something very important, no? To know how to work with others, or how to solve a certain situation. No? There's a key word that many of you kept mentioning: critical thinking. No? And I think sometimes we just say critical thinking is thinking outside of the box, but I think it's more than that. No, I mean it's yeah, it's thinking outside the box, but what other solutions do you give out when you're outside the box? So I think all this information that you're giving is very important. Thank you, guys. Let's continue, please. The next question is, what do psychologist students learn or study? I don't know if somebody would like to jump in to this one. Okay, but don't everybody jump in at once. I
can start as an
Okay,
answer
Adam,
here.
thank
I
you
think
very
we're
much.
all going to have pretty similar answers. So I think one of the things, of course, psychology students learn some basic knowledge about the field of psychology. And everybody sitting in on this call is probably expecting that they would get that. One thing that you might not expect that you get is the development of some good problem-solving skills. So especially problem solving from a scientific mindset. So we teach you how to collect data to answer questions that you may have, how to look at data and reach conclusions. With that, that's really a hallmark of what scientific psychology is about. So I'll end my answer there and let other people chime in.
I will briefly chime in that completely agree that critical thinking skills and knowledge of the scientific method really underlies undergraduate study, getting that bachelor's in psychology. So you learn things such as how to ask scientific questions, hypothesis testing, research design. How can you tell what is high quality research versus not high quality research? How can you tell whether people are providing accurate information or whether their information might be biased, either based on attitudes that they have or based on implicit processes that they might not even be aware of that can influence their behavior. So psychology is a very wonderful generalist developmental scientific method background for addressing everyday questions in living applicable to many fields.
I'll jump in, and like the other questions, I agree wholeheartedly that the psychology major is really grounded in the scientific method. So broadly across all of your courses, you're going to be learning how to understand and also conduct research. And so within specific topic classes, you're going to learn things like how people learn, how people behave, what are influences on their behavior, how people think, what are influences on their thinking, how the brain works, and other biological processes that influence not only humans, but also animals, and that goes for behavior as well. And then another really beneficial aspect of the psychology degree is also learning how to communicate with others about ideas and scientific ideas, either through talking with people or in writing, and working in teams are some of the other skills that many psychology majors come out having.
Thank you. Yes, Andres, go ahead. You need to Yeah, there you go.
I'm here. In addition to what my colleagues have said, I also like to answer this question thinking about what I expected from psychology when I went in as an undergrad student many years ago. And I think that part of the answer to this is also what you will not learn when studying psychology. And by that, what I mean is, and I like to say this to prospective students, you will not have classes on how to analyze people. You will not have any classes about reading minds. You will not have classes to help your best friend and those type of things. It feels that many of our students come with that idea and quite often, crash against a wall when they have to take statistics or biology or neuroscience classes that are not what most of us have as an idea, at least beginning. um, what our classes mostly do, at least on the conceptual level, is trying to get at the basis of our science and what we have investigated for decades, for more than a century even, and those foundations ideally are the basis of what we do when we apply psychology in many different fields: clinical psychology, counseling psychology, organizational psychology, educational psychology. However, those classes that are more applied are generally presented at the very end of our programs, and the emphasis is a very introductory emphasis. We very seldom go in depth with those. For those areas that are more applied, you generally go for your master's or your PhD. So I think that also complements those other things.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you're very correct. I think that everybody that says, "Oh, is that I'm studying psychology," right away they start asking you, "And what can I do for this problem?" No, or "Why do I feel this way?" No, and things like that. So yeah, but thank you very much, Dr. Andres. Now I'm gonna ask you another question, and I think that this is very important. What is the profile that your institution is looking for in a psychology student candidate? What type of profile? I hope that uh, according to your university, it's a little bit different. So what is the profile that you're looking for in students? And in this question, I would like to start with Dr. Carrie, please.
There we go. I wasn't able to unmute. So at our institution, as long as you are admitted to the institution and you are passing classes, you are allowed to declare psychology as your major. That being said, there are certain students that we would love to have as majors. Those things being students who are motivated and interested in learning about psychology, they're interested in science, they are open to working hard and challenging what they think about their ideas about how the world works. As some people have already talked about, there's a lot that psychology has learned that doesn't really match what we think is the reality. So we want students who are open to being challenged in those ways, as well as students who are motivated to be open to exploring career paths and kind of navigating their way towards that career path. Because as we talked about, there are so many different possible careers. And then within the major, you can kind of navigate your way, but we need students to be thinking about that early on and figuring out how they can get to their ultimate career goal.
Thank you. I would like to continue with Dr. Rebecca.
Unmuting is a multi-stage process. So when you call on us, we have to click a number.
I understand. Thank you.
So yes, just to follow up on what Dr. Carrie said, here at the University of Alabama, in addition, we have a growing Latinx population. And so we're really looking for Spanish-speaking folks who want to come to the Southeastern United States and contribute to an inclusive climate of diversity. We are really interested in students who are, as Dr. Carrie said, motivated, open, willing to try new things, interested in learning more about Southeastern United States culture, which historically has consisted primarily of non-Hispanic white and African American. But we have a great need for individuals who are interested in learning about this geographic region and the needs here. We have a lot of rural areas. So I think the needs here really do speak internationally to differences in health disparities by race, ethnicity, gender, and geography, whether you're urban or rural.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rebecca. And Dr. Adam, can you add some more information?
I would just echo what our other presenters have already said. You know, we're interested in having students. So people who are motivated to learn and excited by psychology. That's like the definition of a student, and that's who we want. Our state, I don't know, we might get to this later, is located in the middle or the central part of the United States. And like many areas of the United States, we have a growing Spanish-speaking population. We're certainly interested in having students from Mexico and Central America come to our institution, and that's who we're looking for.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Andres, would you like to add some information here?
Not much to add, because again, we're all looking for the same people who are passionate and you know, and get excited and interested and would talk to their friends about psychology all the time. That would be ideal. I speak more personally, of course, here, but we are also in need of people who can bring new perspectives, new culture, new ideas. We are located in one of the poorest areas of the country here, and many of our students, unlike the experience of many other students in other parts of this country, have never been outside the United States, have very little to no contact with different cultures, languages, ideas, and the like. So it is always welcome to bring a different look at things, a different perspective, a different viewpoint. So that is also something that we really would like to see from our students.
Thank you, Dr. Andres. And Karen, it's not the same question. It's a similar question, but I would like to know if you think that the university helped you with your profile when you finished your career.
Thank you. Yes, I think definitely it helped me because, well, I was raised in Mexico, so my culture, my decisions, and my beliefs and everything was or is different from Americans. So I think like having both cultures and sharing them and everything, that helped me with now with my career, because now that I'm working as a psychotherapist, and I have like the ability to know that each person is different. So I think, yes, it helped me a lot. And I think psychology helps us to understand that we are unique, and that even though that we have like the same human and I don't know behaviors or things or everything, we are different from our culture, right? I'm different from Americans, from North Americans, from Mexicans and everything. So definitely it helps me a lot.
Thank you. Now, talking about international students, sometimes international students might have some difficulties with their classes. So what kind of support does your institution provide students that face difficulties in classes? And here, whoever would like to chime in, there's no problem.
I can go. Sorry, Rebecca, were you about to go?
It's fine, go forward.
So we offer kind of in-house help as well as institutional help. So we have mentoring that's provided to all of our majors with things like optional meetings and announcements that are made, as well as various clubs that our students can join. We also have specific statistics tutoring, because statistics tends to be a challenging course for many of our majors. And then for all of your courses, when you're at a university or a college, your professors and sometimes teaching assistants are available to assist you. So pretty much everybody has time set aside in their schedule that is open for students to stop by and ask for help. So that is definitely something that you would want to take advantage of. And it's also a great way to just get to know your professors. And then at the institution level, we have lots of different centers that are available to help people. Like there's one specific to the writing. There is a Center for Student Success, and they're focused on helping with study skills and time management and things like that. Librarians are available to help with research. And then at the University of Mississippi, we have an Office of International Programs that helps individuals adapt to the culture. I agree with everybody saying that it is really beneficial to experience a different culture. I am not from Mississippi. I came from a very different part of the United States, and it is very helpful to experience different cultures. And we definitely also would appreciate that diversity being brought here. So they help out adapting to the culture with language needs, if there are any language needs, as well as immigration status, if that is needed, for visa issues and things like that. And I'm sure other people have.
Thank you very much, Dr. Carrie.
I can jump into the fray if you'd like, or did you want to move to a different?
No. Go ahead, Dr. Rebecca.
Very similar to our neighbors in Mississippi. At Alabama, we have both within house in the department and then across the university support systems for diverse and international students. Within the department, we have a faculty person who is directly responsible for advising. So this individual focuses half of her time solely to advising freshman and sophomore students. Then we have a variety of other faculty who are specialists in the undergraduate curriculum. Each faculty member carries an advising load of maybe up to 20 students in their junior and senior years, so that as students move through the undergraduate program and get more specialized in their interests, they can work with specific faculty members who meet their interests in those areas. And then across the university, we have the Capstone International Center, Council of Community-Based Partnerships, different funding organizations and social organizations that really focus on the needs of diverse and underrepresented students. So similar to Mississippi, we have both in-house support, including tutoring and advising, career advising, as well as the International Student Center.
Thank you, Dr. Rebecca. Dr. Adam or Dr. Andres, would you like to add some more information to that?
I would just echo what Professor Allen and Dowling have said. I think all of our institutions are going to have similar types of support. And so for the students who are on the call, you can think of this support as being at one level at the whole university. We'll have international or support for international students. And we'll have, we call ours a learning center, but they will have places on campus to help students who need academic help in a certain area. Then at your major within the psychology area itself, as I think Professor Dowling said, you have your professors who we got into this field because we like to work with students. So your professors will help you, and we usually have teaching assistants also in those classes that will help you. And we have tutors who are people that can sit and work with you one-on-one to help if you need additional help. And the one other thing that I would add is that one thing that we see is that our students help each other in class. They study together and they have groups and they meet after class and discuss material. So there's plenty of support available for international students.
In our
Thank you.
case, in addition to those things like tutoring and a student success center and an office of international students, one thing that works on our favor is that we have a very small numbers. We are a really small school, which means that generally our ratio of professor to students is really small, which means that for a lot of our students, they get to have a very close, very direct type of interaction with their teachers, particularly with their advisors and people in their majors. In our case, most of us in my department work directly with small groups of students, and we see them every week to do research and those type of things. And those small numbers also help a lot international students in the sense that they get a little bit more of the connection that we as internationals often miss when coming to study here. In addition to this, we have a very international faculty overall. We have professors from many different parts of the world here, and we have been pushing for a more direct type of interaction between international students and the international faculty. So we're pushing right now for a sort of an additional type of advising where you can, meet every now and then with professors who speak your language, who come from your country or a similar country, and who have experienced the same type of things that you will experience as a student, since most of us also got our PhDs here as students, as international students.
Thank you very much, everyone. The next question I would like to ask everyone. So the question is, and you can jump in, as a former psychology student, what was the most valuable experience during your studies?
I'll start.
Okay,
I
thank you.
think that the most valuable experience I had as a psychology student was the opportunity to broaden my perspective of life and people. I understood that each head is a world, therefore each person is unique and different, not only physically, but also their thoughts, their reality, their emotions, their beliefs, and the context where they live. So I learned to be more empathetic and less judgmental. And also, I recognize that mental health is important and is necessary in order to achieve our goals and find a balance and happiness in life. And well, as well, it helps me to understand myself better.
Well, thank you very much, Carrie. That's a very good answer. Somebody else?
Well, in my case, there are many valuable experiences. Having great professors was a great thing. I don't know about our public today here, but chances are high that a lot of us at some point have considered if we should have chosen a different career. I think that is typical of all of us for a number of reasons, but it's generally those learning experiences, having a person who can talk to you about how passionate they are about their work and those type of things, really put me on the way of what I wanted to do, finding what was the path that I wanted to follow. In addition to that, I would like to say that college life is life itself, and by that I mean that it's not just something that you just go for a few hours and that's it, but it's a whole experience. It's a whole sort of people that you meet, ideas that you confront, new knowledge, of course, but also all sort of social experiences, experiencing art, experiencing talking to people with different religions, with different political ideas, talking to people from different contexts. And one great thing about psychology is that we get to think hard about how those relationships, how those experiences, how our feelings of isolation or feeling lost, or our feelings of not knowing where to go next, can be made sense of to some extent, thanks to what we learned in our classes and the like.
Thank you very much, Andres. Very, very nice. Would somebody else like to share? Yes, Dr. Rebecca.
I think for me in my undergraduate experience, I resonate with what Karen and Andres have said. For me, the very most important experiences were the small group projects, and particularly working on in a research laboratory with other people at all levels, the professor, graduate students, other undergraduates, who are interested in the same kinds of things that I was interested in. And through that small group experience, hands-on, doing research with individuals in the community, I really developed a passion for psychological research and made lifelong friendships, asked deep questions, found deep answers, and just very much appreciated the small group research experience.
Thank you, Dr. Rebecca. Would somebody else like to?
Yeah, so I'm not sure how frequent this is in Mexico and other countries, but I actually did not start as a psychology major when I went to college. I started off as a dance major, and so one of the most valuable experiences was I had to take an introduction to psychology class. And taking that class, I realized just how interesting that was to me. And that is what led me on this path. And similarly, having those interactions with peers inside and outside of class. And I also had a similar research type experience that really changed my trajectory in my life and my career. So that is one of the many valuable experiences that I had as a student.
And I think your experience it's very important to like make a note of, because when you're studying in the United States, you might be thinking of a certain major, but in a certain moment, because of another class that you're taking as a minor, that class might influence your decision on your major. So I think that it's a very good experience, but also a very good example of some of the opportunities in the United States. It's a little bit different than from here in Mexico, where you begin to study psychology and that's it. I mean, you would have to leave that career or that bachelor's degree and enter another one. But sometimes you need to start over or things like that. But in the United States, that's one of the possibilities that you have. Thank you very much for sharing that. That's very nice. Dr. Adam, would you like to share something or?
I don't have very much to add, except to reiterate a little bit about what other people said. Your best experiences are going to be the relationships that you form through working on psychology. Your relationships with your professors and with fellow students, both in your classes and if you do small group work. None of us, we're all psychologists and none of us work alone. We always work with other people. And when you do that, you can really form family type relationships with the people that you're working with. And it's exciting and it's intellectually exciting and rewarding. And you can get just a lot of positive experiences out of that.
Thank you very much. And we're almost finished, but I would just like to remind our participants, if they have any questions, that please write their questions in the chat section where it says Q&A Mabel or Q&A David Gons. So you can write your questions to them, and at the end we'll be asking and answering those questions. So our last question for the panel, sorry, there's one more, would be, what are some of the challenges that psychology students face? And I would like also everybody to participate in this one. So who would like to start? What are some of the challenges that psychology students face? Yes, Carrie, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, one of the biggest challenge as a student, first of all, for me, it was the English. English is not my first language. I was born in El Paso, Texas, but I was raised in Ciudad Juarez. My parents are Mexican, therefore my first language is Spanish. So starting to study, read, speak, and write in English was like a challenge. As a psychology student, one of the biggest challenges that I had was questioning my own beliefs, my thoughts, my behaviors, and decisions. Even questioning if I wanted to study psychology. And as I said before, recognizing and understanding that each of us is unique and that each brain and each life is different makes you see things differently. And sometimes it can be overwhelming and challenging. Also, I understood that there is not like a good or bad. Sometimes what a person does, feels, or thinks depends on their own experiences and reality. And well, I think it was a challenge, just like to know that we are part of a community, and even if we are part of the community, each of us is unique. And I think it was like a valuable experience, but also it was a challenge. And it's not like it was a challenge, but something important that you know, that you have to know before studying psychology is that you are going to read a lot. Psychologists do not read minds, but we do read a lot of books. So be prepared.
Okay, thank you very much, Karen. Very good. Would somebody else like to chime in here? What are some of the challenges that psychology students face?
Karen is totally right that I think one of the biggest challenges is challenging the way that you view the world, and including yourself, that you're going to learn things and be exposed to ideas that, like I have many students that say, we'll go over a research result and they'll say, yeah, but I'm different, or my aunt isn't like that, and that is really challenging to say, okay, yes, we are all unique, and there are some people that this doesn't hold true for, but for the average individual, this is what research is finding at this point in time. And there are many, many things across your time in psychology that are going to challenge you. And similar to Karen, when I was a student, it's like, oh my goodness, like it's a lot to handle sometimes. And it's a common challenge, as well as learning statistics. That can be challenging for students. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Somebody else?
I'll very quickly, because Carrie, you said at the very end, in my 20 years as a college professor, the primary challenges in general, beyond perhaps English as a second language, have been math. Statistics is generally a challenge for most students, and they did not expect they would be doing that in psychology. Research methods, secondarily, they can grow to love it, but generally, people are not necessarily fans of math.
Okay, thank you. Somebody else?
Well, in addition
No?
to the reading, there is also a lot of writing, and as Karen was saying, as a second language speaker, it takes us almost twice as much to read and to write. So that is also something that is a little bit challenging.
Thank you. Somebody else? Well, before we finish, we do have some questions from the public. But before we finish, the participants, if you can see here the slide, at the bottom, it says Rebecca S. Allen. She's from the University of Alabama. Then it says Adam Butler. He's from the University of Northern Iowa. And then we have Dr. Andres Garcia, and he's from Delta State University. And we also have Carrie Bernini Dowling, and she's from the University of Mississippi. If you would like to take a picture of this slide, And at the bottom, there's their emails. If you have any other additional questions, or if you would like to know more information about enrolling or admissions or the admissions process, you can email them to this information that we posted here. And I think we have some questions from the public. So let's continue. Mabel or David, can you read the questions that we have from the public, please?
Hi. Hi everyone. Thank you for sharing your questions. Yes, we do. I do have a couple of questions. I'm not sure if David has, but the first one is addressed to Karen. What would you say, or what would you consider is the main advantage to study psychology in the US different from study in Mexico?
Thank you.
Your microphone. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I think that one of the advantages of studying psychology at the USA was the opportunity to, first of all, like to get to know another culture. But I think that in difference with Mexico, United States gives you this part of the research, like they are like they develop like research, so you get to know about research and the scientific method, and I think that is very important. And also I think that, well, the opportunity to learn another language and have another perspective of things will help you in your career as a psychologist. And well, I think that an advantage, for instance, in my university, at the University of Texas at El Paso, was because of being Mexican. And there are a lot of programs or scholarships or financial aids to Mexicans that want to study in the USA. So I think that will be another advantage.
Thank you.
Karen.
Thank you, Karen. Hopefully this will help our audience to make an informed decision. We have a couple of more questions. Someone wants to know a little bit more about the sports psychology branch that Andres, I think it was him who mentioned it.
So this is a minor, as I think Luis mentioned at the beginning. A minor is a very unique thing here in the United States. It's like a little career that you complete in addition to your big major. So you're expected to take a certain number of classes in a number of different areas. In our case, because it's sports psychology, we have an agreement with other departments in the university, with the athletics department, and with people in the areas of kinesiology and exercise science, sports science, and the like. So essentially, our students have to take a number of credits in psychology. One of them is a class specifically on sports psychology, but also classes in abnormal psychology, in test and measurement, and the like. And then they have to take another number of classes outside of psychology, like sports science, coaching, kinesiology, and the like. So it is a combination of those. And as I said, essentially that gives you at least a minor on that, with the idea of pushing our students to pursue a master's degree on sports psychology or the like.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I have another question, and I'm not sure if how can I okay, I'm gonna say it like that. Daphne is asking, can we modify our must integrate behaviors? And I think that is a really focused question that I'm not sure who wants to answer.
Can you repeat it?
Yes, she typed, can we modify our most ingrained behaviors?
With the right effort. Yes. And that's one of the major areas of psychology. Behavioral theory helps us learn how to modify behaviors. So there are some things like the fact that you're going to blink when somebody puffs air in your eye. You're not going to be able to unlearn that. But things like procrastinating or biting your nails or increasing exercise, yes, you can definitely learn how to modify those.
Thank you, Carrie.
I'll add just a little bit to that if you want. In terms of really ingrained behaviors, I often think about those that occur perhaps outside of awareness. Dr. Carrie mentioned the blinking. Other behaviors that might occur outside of awareness could be things like eating or drinking too much or smoking too much or something like that. And through concerted effort in mindfulness and bringing those kinds of behaviors to the forefront of our mind and attention, we can change ingrained behaviors.
Nice addition. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca and Carrie. One more question is, Marusi, thanks all of you for the valuable information. And the question is regarding the opportunities that you can have after you complete your bachelor's in psychology. Does your universities offer online master's programs or diplomas? I'm assuming that in psychology.
I will say that the University of Alabama does not at this time offer an online master's. There are a variety of, with COVID, welcome everyone to life during COVID. We have moved a great deal to online instruction, but in terms of completing a master's program at this time, we do not have that opportunity.
I am at the University of Mississippi at this point in time.
That is the same for us at the University of Northern Iowa. We do not have any online master's programs. We have in-person master's programs. And I would just add for people that are interested in that, there are some universities in the United States that have online graduate programs in psychology. And I think it's important that you be a smart consumer in deciding if that is right for you.
Yeah, Dr. Butler makes a great point. There are certain things that you can study online, and there are certain others that you cannot. So you should be careful with that, because they offer these online degrees, and sometimes they are not worth much, unfortunately. So it's always good to be careful with that. We also do not.
Thank you, all of you. Maybe it's time to hear from David. I have one question, but I need to clarify a little bit more. And I think David has a question.
Oh, yeah, I do have a question. I have two questions, actually. I just got one. So I have a question from Christina Collis. She's asking, is it useful to have extracurricular activities to be admitted in your university?
It's always good to be well-rounded and have an enjoyable life outside of academics. So yes, I would say yes.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Okay, great. Great.
Could I add?
Yeah,
to
yes,
be
of course,
admitted,
of course.
it's not necessary to be admitted to have extracurricular activities. It's useful and beneficial, and you should get involved in extracurricular activities. It's not necessary to be admitted. And once you go to college, you should get involved in extracurricular activities. That's being a good student.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, and I have a final question from Israel Gutierrez. Okay, he is asking, can we get info about scholarships, please?
Luis, do you have the information that we shared with you beforehand?
Yes. What I'll do is that I can send them to them directly, or what we can do is that we can send them your emails and then you could also share it. So any way that you would like me to share it, there's no problem.
Exactly. We also have some information on that, but if you want, contact us, send us an email, and we can send it back. Also, I think that speaks for all of us. Right?
Yeah, it's a good idea. Like I said in the previous slide, here at the bottom, if you could take a picture and you can email them directly, and what they can do is that they can inform you about the different things that they offer and a little bit more specific about their programs that they have and the requirements also that are necessary to enter to the university. Because for international students, it's a little bit different than national students. So it would be recommended that you can get in contact directly with them. But the other thing that you can do is that you can look for your nearest Education USA office, going to educationusa.org, and you can find the nearest office and they can help you with this search or with the information. Yes, so those are some of the options. Okay, do we have any more questions, Mabel or David?
I do not have any other question.
On my end, that's
Okay.
it as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys, for your help. Well, I would like to thank everybody that was here in the roundtable. I think all the information that you gave was very useful. The general objective of this roundtable, or our first roundtable, is so participants know firsthand the information of a specific area of your university, and so it could help them decide if this is their correct fit for what they want to study, or like we had already mentioned, because of the different majors and minors, they can think of starting to study psychology, but later on they have the option of changing a major after the second year. So I think that's a good possibility. So I would like to thank Dr. Carrie, Dr. Rebecca, Dr. Andres, Dr. Adam, and Karen. Thank you very much for all your insight, for all your info. And just before we finish, I would like to say we at Education USA, we have our Facebook page. It is Education USA MEX. We're also on Twitter. We also have our YouTube page where you can find this video and other videos about other information that we provide or other workshops that we have given. And also we have an app. It's Education USA Mexico. You can download it either for your Android or for iOS. And then we also have Instagram. It's Education USA MX. And we also have a WordPress where you can find regional information. In this case, this WordPress is specifically about Mexico, and you can find scholarships or information about exams there on our page. So I would like to thank everybody. Thank you very much for the participants that were here. I hope that this information was useful for you. And if you have any other questions, please get in contact with your local Education USA office. We have 26 offices here in Mexico. Or if you took a picture of the slide, you can get in contact directly with the universities. So I would just like to thank one more time Dr. Carrie, Dr. Rebecca, Dr. Adam, and Dr. Andres and Karen for participating in our first round table. I would like, so applause please, or virtual applause. And then, well, thank you very much. I'm very happy. I was extremely nervous, but anyways, that's another topic. But anyways, so thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and we're finished.